welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Well, today we're taking a look at the state of the opposition. Now, as far as one can see, there are really two alternatives. One is that the Congress takes charge and leads the opposition against the BJP. And well, we all know how that story ends. Or else somebody else takes the initiative. As we know, the other opposition parties are all really regional parties, whether it's a Mamata Banerjee, Sharad Pawar, or even Jagan, once he decides which side he's on. They're all regional leaders. Can they then forge a pan-India front and do the role of the Congress and take on the BJP? So these are two things that I'm going to be talking about. First, of course, I want to really focus on the Congress. There is a churn within. We are seeing the high command, which is now in the face of Rahul and Priyanka, try and assert themselves. There's been this changeover in Punjab. Whether it was needed, whether it was handled well is another thing. We also have the old guard G23 protesting. In the meanwhile, Rahul and Priyanka are trying to forge what is a new Congress by getting in Kanhaiya Kumar and other left-leaning leaders to join the party, sidelining the others. Is that a smart move? Is that what is needed today? That is something we're going to be discussing with me. Joining me, I have with me Pawan Verma, former Rajya Sabha MP and political commentator. Sanjay Baru, he's an author, commentator. He's also was the media advisor with Dr. Manmohan Singh. And Sanjay Jha, suspended Congress leader, but his heart is still within the party and with the Congress, as you can see from our discussion. But Pawan, I'll first begin with you because I know you've been pretty active behind the scenes trying to put, some kind of an opposition coalition together. But first, the Congress, what do you see, make out of what's happening within the Congress? They are trying to do some housekeeping in order, but is it, jo Hindi channels mein bolte hai na, is it a master stroke or disaster stroke?
I believe well perception that the Congress is perhaps, in some respects, imploding is a cliche these days, but the Congress is not being able to get its act together. Now, nature abhors a vacuum. If the Congress, as the principal opposition party in the country, is unable to take on the principal opponents, which are the BJP, obviously there has to be some rethinking and restructuring within the opposition. The opposition cannot opt for what I believe is an arithmetical incrementalism. Add one party to the other party, to the other party, to the other party, and then possibly tally two or total up. That is not the answer. You need a pan-Indian entity which can probably take the place of the Congress, possibly cannibalize much of actually the rank and file who are restive for the lack of a decisive leadership, move ahead and take on the BJP, especially where the contest is directly between the Congress and the BJP, where the strike rate of the Congress hovers around as low as 8%. Unless some pan-Indian entity takes the place of the Congress to pick up that fight, you are not going to see the opposition making impact, because Mr. Stalin, however competent a leader he is in Tamil Nadu, is unlikely to be able to take on this role in Rajasthan or Madhya Pradesh. So you need some pan-Indian entity to move into that vacuum. The real churn is to see what is now likely to emerge from the opposition that could be grassrooted, that will be pan-Indian, that will forge strategic allies in the second concentric circle around of those parties which are holding the BJP at bay in their own states or in their own citadels. So instead of being a Gathbandhan, it will be a scenario of strategic alliances. The pan-Indian entity taking the place of the Congress if it can't get its act together, plus those allies who are doing the job of holding the BJP at bay in their own regions or states, such as, for instance, Stalin or Jagan or Naveen Patnaik or the left in Kerala, etc. something of this kind is likely to emerge. When and how is to be seen, but certainly there are already straws in the air which indicate that this kind of thing may happen, and I am afraid to say so, largely at the expense of the current Congress.
Okay, you said a lot. In fact, I want to also welcome Yashwant Deshmukh. He's the founder and director of Sea Voter. But Dr. Baru, I'll come to you. You know, this is something you've also been arguing that maybe, you know, Mamta Banerjee should be welcomed back and take over the Congress. Or Congress needs a new face. You know, we can't do without the Congress, but definitely we need to bring in some, change the current composition, so as to speak.
Yes, the other day I was talking to a senior congressman and trying to understand what is happening. And he explained to me that what is happening is that Rahul Gandhi and the current Congress leadership have decided to get rid of Deadwood. Those who want to go can go. I think Rahul Gandhi himself said that. And he was explaining that in Punjab, Amrinder is going. So that's okay because we are bringing in fresh blood, and give the example of this boy from JNU. Now, see, my view is very different. This strategy of getting rid of Deadwood and consolidating the party was exactly the strategy that Indira Gandhi used in 1969 to rid the party of conservative elements, the old guard, the syndicate. And she was already in power, so she had the ability to use power to consolidate her position. And that strategy worked in 69. My view has been for some time that that strategy cannot work today for the Congress. That in fact, what the Congress needs is precisely the opposite strategy, not of getting rid of people, but in fact bringing back those who they got rid of. So whether it's a Sharad Pawar or whether it's a Mamta Banerjee or it's a Jagan, the party has to bring back those who constituted the Indian National Congress. Again, something political reporters keep forgetting now is that in 1969, the Indian National Congress became Congress I or Congress R. It was, there are two names used even in the media, in the reporting everywhere. Well, it's called either Congress I or Congress R. I think R stands for requisitionist, which is what it was called. Now, that became the Indira Congress, the Rajiv Gandhi Congress, the Sonia Congress. So what I'm basically arguing is that the only future for the Congress is to return to its original kind of constitution, which includes a lot of congressmen who are not willing to go to the BJP, who are ideologically still with the Congress, who are secular in their orientation, but are not willing to work under this boy. I mean, I've been a critic of Rahul Gandhi from day one, not because I have anything personal against him. Many people thought that and criticized me. But the fact is that I saw him in action from very close quarters. I knew what people very close around senior leadership thought of him from day one. And I can tell you that those who are today in G23 did not think differently 10 years back. They may have disagreed with me on TV channels, but their thoughts are not different. I think the view was that he's not capable of delivering victory to the Congress. I don't think he's capable of. And the only person in the Congress family who today has some credibility to take on the BJP is Mamta. These are obvious choices. They opt for that, they have some future. Otherwise, as Pawan says, some other opposition formulation probably will take shape.
Sanjay, you are also very, I think your sympathies are with the G23. One would say that you're part of them. So what is the option? You have got two options before you. One is that congressmen lead and, maybe tie up with a Mamta or a Stalin, or even a coalition of sorts with Pawar and all 3-4 of them at the head. Or as Dr. Baru says, bring back all those who have left the party and find a new leadership from within these guys.
Well, frankly, Priya, I think the first thing that we need to recognize is that all the problems that the Congress has today is on account of its own doing. Its underwhelming performance electorally, the leadership vacuum. The BJP has not stopped the Congress from having a president for the last 2.5 years. But if you listen to Rahul, all he does is attack Modi. Fair enough, as an opposition, you should do that. There is a lot of laundry list of disasters you can attack. But for God's sake, first get your house in order. I mean, when a Roger Federer plays a Nadal, he doesn't just think of where Nadal's fitness is or whether his topspin is going to work. He focuses on his own, athleticism, his own mental health, his own fitness, his own technique. I mean, if you are not able to actually make sure that your team is galvanized and motivated, you can't do it. And I'll be honest with you, I've known Rahul for a long time, given him a lot of inputs. He kind of doesn't really do much about it. That leaders have to be inspirational, Priya. I'm an old-fashioned management thinker. I believe a leader needs to inspire. You need to invigorate. Dr. Babu has worked very well with Dr. Manmohan Singh, and I've loved his book, The Accidental Prime Minister. Honestly, the only thing that probably Dr. Manmohan Singh lacked was his ability to maybe get the crowd on fire. I mean, you can't blame him. I mean, he was inherently not cut out to be the typical politician who speaks from the bully pulpits. So I think the bottom line is, if Rahul has embraced politics, for God's sake, then don't have a half-baked approach to it. I'll tell you something as a congressman. You can't really keep going on and on about how bad the RSS is and how incompetent Modi is. People in the Congress want to fight. And I'll give you one example. I was in Uttar Pradesh, sometime before the pandemic. And so many workers came and told me, do you realize what we have to go through to fight? That you have been out of power in the state for over 3 decades. Every election, whether it's assembly, whether it's a panchayat election, whether it's a Lok Sabha, we fight for you. What do you guys do as leaders? And frankly, Priya, there are no answers. So I believe the Congresses, there's a high command culture is now reaching a point where I think every genuine congressman, and I think Sanjay is absolutely right, every genuine congressman today is completely demotivated, is down in the dumps, despondent, wondering, is this the party of Nehru, Patel, Gandhi ji? Where? And frankly, I'll be honest, I don't think the Narendra Modi, Amit Shah team or the BJP cannot be defeated. It can be defeated. There are no permanent winners and losers in politics. The people of India are not, they're not kind of, oblivious of what's going on around them. But can you blame them if today they say, how can I vote for the Congress? When you commit political suicide at the drop of a hat. So I will lay it on the table up front. The problem is simple. If you have a leader who can really take decisions, be honest enough to say, hey, listen, I'm not good enough for this. I need people. Fair enough. Build a team, inspire people, and get your act going. Rahul Gandhi, as of today, is not the man.
Not the person. Yashwanji, so then, how does the opposition get together to defeat the BJP? We've heard 2 options. One is that the Congress as a whole leaves and, joins some other charismatic leader, like a Mamta Banerjee, giving her a pan-India presence. Or then Mamta and Sharad and Jagan come back to the Congress.
Well, I mean, the 3 friends here, they're on the dot and they know much better on the political side than me. But some things really confuse me, Priya, sometimes, Sanjay just mentioned Rafael and Federer, and that taking cue from that, if you are not good enough to play in a Grand Slam, you don't leave tennis. You start playing in the ATP circuit till you get back into the form, the smaller ones. And when I say the ATP circuit, there are 30 states, in that way, that there are small 2 union territories into state, but there are 30 assembly elections over a period of 5-year calendar that go into the place. And you will be surprised, Priya, if I tell you that forget about being invincible electorally. If I tell you that in the last 7 years, people of India in majority of the elections have actually defeated Modi-Shah duo, will you kind of agree with that? We try to oversimplify the thing with keeping in mind 2000 and 2019 mandate, only 2 mandates. What happened between those 40 odd mandates which have gone through? 30, complete 1 cycle of 30, and then 2019, 2021, we are now reaching 22, which will be forming about 12 more mandates. Now, if I tell you that majority of these mandates, people of India have actually defeated Modi and Shah, will you believe it? That's the fact.
Yeah.
Nobody counts it properly. And it's just that if I cannot play a Wimbledon or French Open, I will not even participate in the ATP Challenge Tour. That's the stupidity that Congress is going through. He just mentioned, I mean, of course, Mr. Baru knows this entire thing. I loved his book as well. I watched the movie as well. And it underlined the thing that no movie does any justice to a good book. That's another thing. But having said that, one thing which is struck with, Dr. Manmohan Singh, BJP lost, or Mr. Advani lost 2009 simply because he went on a personal attack against Mr. Manmohan Singh. And people of India did not like it. The majority, even today in the surveys, you will be surprised that Mr. Manmohan Singh's ratings come better than Mrs. Sonia Gandhi or Rahul Gandhi or all other Congress people coming to the fight. Why? Because, first of all, yes, he had to face the 2 form of corruption and everything, and he faced the music, that's fine. But the biggest thing with Mr. Manmohan Singh was that he never tried to come up with as someone who he is not. He remained what he was, and people liked him for what he was. So if there is a handicap of Congress leadership right now, that they cannot match the energy or charisma of Mr. Modi, or for that matter, Mr. Amit Shah. If suppose that's the handicap, why are you trying over the counter just to be what you are not? Why not focus on the ATP tools? Why not focus on the third? I mean, how on earth do you feel when the people give you a mandate to rule Madhya Pradesh and you Washington? When people give you a mandate in Goa to form a government and you don't even go to Raj Bhavan to strike your claim. What on earth are people? You are talking about Karkartas. Even further flight is of the Congress voters. Forget Karkartas.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to quickly take a break and
voters in India who know for sure their party is not going to win. Still, they go out, stand in the queue, and vote for Congress. Are you doing the right thing for them?
Okay. Also, the ideological left turn that the Congress suddenly seems to take, is this the right move? Is this in keeping in what the nation wants? Because you can say that even Prime Minister Modi is now taken a somewhat of a left turn. But this sharp left getting in Kanhaiya Kumar, even on JNU people, even in UP, I'm told all the office bearers have JNU affiliations. Does that send the right message?
I don't think so. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I believe let us not edify an line for time now with some kind of definitive change of Congress ideology, especially on a thought out basis. That is not the case. Mr. Kanhaiya Kumar and Jignesh Mevani, who I have been in touch with, were thinking about a move to the Congress for the last several months. The fact that they chose to take it on the day that Amrinder Singh left may have helped the Congress to marginally correct its perception. But I can tell you that any decision in the Congress party is not the product of a thought out, calibrated, ideologically tested, grass-rooted exercise of decision making. So,
is your friend Prashant Kishore advising them these days?
Prashant Kishore is not advising them these days. And I want to say, particularly in the context of Punjab, he has kept himself scrupulously out of the current mess there. Even the talks with the Congress, as were reported by some sections of the media, have not led to any decision. Is a situation where intervention cannot help the Congress unless it goes for a qualitative revamp, including of the leadership. So that is another matter. The point of the fact is, Priya, you have to understand, if the Congress does not rise up to the challenge, which historically it is mandated to play today, I agree with Sanjay Jha that it's not that the BJP is not defeatable, and with Yashwantji. Elections are very organized strategic exercises. We saw the case of West Bengal, where a third-term anti-incumbency, Mamata Banerjee's vote share actually increased from 44% to 49% against the entire organized might of the BJP, including the near unlimited resources it had access to. So elections can be won, but you need leadership. You need grassroots organizing. And in the Indian context, you need at least one pan-Indian entity, because strip all this argumentation. There are over 200 seats where the BJP fights the Congress. That is the catchment area which is BJP's bonanza. In the entire south and east, it is held to bay in 200 seats across Kerala, the United Andhra, Orissa, Bengal, and Bihar. 200 seats, BJP has only 54. 150 seats are with the anti-BJP forces or forces not aligned with the BJP. It is in the north and west where there are 250 seats where the BJP has a strike rate of 94% against its only opponent, which is the Congress. Now, if the Congress doesn't perform, it will be replaced. Because unless you do that, you can't defeat the BJP. So, somebody will emerge. In many respects, if it is from the old Congress family, become the real Congress.
That is one
the rank and part and file move towards that.
That is one way of seeing it, which we hope, it's either of the two. Something has to give, right, Dr. Baru? Although this new Congress that Rahul and all are thinking will reimpose a new Congress, what do you make of these moves to bring in these left-leaning leaders?
Oh, I see. Rahul has not hidden the fact that he has wanted to project himself as a left-wing leader. It goes back a long way. People forget he was critical of many other things that the Manmohan Singh government was doing from a left perspective. There was, I remember, a CII meeting in which Montek Ahluwalia was sitting in the front row and Rahul Gandhi was a speaker, and he differentiated himself from the policies of the Planning Commission at that time, saying, these are neoliberal policies. Rahul Gandhi went to JNU and gave a talk in JNU, which I refer to in my book, where he said that either I can continue with what is being done or I have to stand in opposition to what is happening. And the choice is I have to project myself as an agent of change. So Rahul Gandhi has always had this thing, and goes back, some ways to his grandmother, I assume, the strategy Indira Gandhi adopted to take on the old guard. So I think it's the family memory that works a lot in these politics, that you have to turn left to take on these old guard, And he has always never hidden his fact, thinking that tilting to the left is the way for the Congress to revive itself. Because under Manmohan Singh and Montek and Chidambaram and Kamal Nath and all these guys were seen as pro-market, pro-business, pro-liberalization. And Rahul Gandhi always positioned himself as left center.
Dr. Sanjay, your take on this, is the old guard is it a fight of ideology, or is it just the fact that, you just need a leadership?
No, Priya, my whole grouse is that Rahul Gandhi can, and he has his own fundamental right to be extreme left of center. But that's your personal choice. But, if you are going to make the party make an ideological shift towards business or markets or liberalization, you need to consult with other people. I am just writing a piece by a great coincidence where I'm saying this is a strategic blunder. You see, I'm not, why do we believe that an economic policy has to be either or? Even America has above double-digit levels of poverty. Even they have Occupy Wall Street. Even their inequality is the biggest issue in elections. Even their healthcare is the biggest issue in elections, and it's the most affluent country in the world. So I believe India does need state expenditure. India will need welfare subsidies. But if the Congress under Rahul Gandhi is going to be anti-industry in perception, or if we are going to criticize reforms, it doesn't make any sense. I'll give you an example. Asset monetization is something that we talked about in the Congress. Dr. Manmohan Singh's 1991 reforms is one of Congress's singular contributions to India now becoming part of the G20 and the other, big economic players. I mean, today we are nearing a 3 trillion economy. The middle class has done well. You got a telecom infrastructure. You got infrastructure in general, and the fact that there is a spending power. It's the middle class is actually a Congress creation. And today when Rahul Gandhi goes and appears, it doesn't talk to industry. It's okay to criticize this Adani Ambani kind of story, but what we need to realize that everybody is not a crony capitalist. I'm from the corporate sector. I'm not making any money off government charity, even when the UPA was in power. We got to understand these fundamentals. And I believe this is a blunder. India has changed. The left, I think India should be slightly left of center, but because you still have 300
Let
million.
me just get Yashwant Deshmukh and also, sorry to cut you short. Where, in terms of votes, in terms of the sentiment, which strategy will work better for the Congress? This left of center or the sticking to the Manmohan Singh's legacy?
Whatever works. The thing is that you have to stick to it. I'm not even getting into the ideological debate because I can see the clear and present danger of this entire convention going out of the window within 6 months. Why? And with all seriousness, I'm saying this. We all agree that there is a vacuum, and vacuum is to be filled if the Congress doesn't do anything. What I see within the next 6 months or 5 months, to be precise, is that, in one state, we know for sure that Congress is almost like to lose, that is Punjab. The party which is a front runner right now over there is the party which might replace Congress as the main opposition in Goa, and which might even play a role in Congress defeat in Uttarakhand, getting more than 10% votes in Uttarakhand. I'm talking about, the new kid on the block. And all said and done, what will Priya tell me after the UP, Punjab, Uttarakhand results are out and we are sitting in this discussion? Consider this 10 days after that, and we know for sure that AAP has become a single largest party, for example, in Punjab, and BJP won Uttarakhand just because Aam Aadmi Party ate up and Punjab and Congress did not get its act together. And AAP with 4 or 5 seats in Goa becomes the principal opposition party. You know what the national narrative would be of media after that? Can you imagine? And I can tell you in advance, the same story is being replicated in Gujarat right now. Don't be surprised BJP sweeping Gujarat again, simply because the disgruntled and all upset Congress voter make a beeline for Aam Aadmi Party in Gujarat. And Aam Aadmi Party in Gujarat might get 5, 10, 15, I don't know, at this point of time. But those votes will be good enough to ensure that Congress gets defeated. So that X factor, that somebody who has to fill up that vacuum, if that vacuum at the pan-India level, the narrative goes for Arvind Kejriwal and Aam Aadmi Party, I'm not so saying that he will win big in 2024. Hardly, he's got 4 or 3 Lok Sabha seats, he might get 10 seats, not beyond that. But the pan-India level, whatever each and every 1% vote that Aam Aadmi Party is going to get is only and only going to damage the prospects of Congress, particularly in these 200 seats, which we are talking so cautiously about. In these 200 seats precisely. So
the rise of Aam Aadmi would be actually mean help the BJP.
It's absolutely, and it's a clear and present danger. I see it, and please mark my words. When we do this show 10 days after the election results are out, look at the media columns, look at the headlines, look at the narrative, look at the public discourse in political arena that is going to be after that. And that is something which either you take a left of center ideology or right of center ideology. I'm sorry to say, but yes, it is a critical thing. I understand what my point that Sanjay is making. But for me, it's like, yaar, aag lagi hai, pehle aag bujhao.
Yeah.
Pani feekna hai ki pani feekna hai, baad mein tay karna. It's your house is on fire.
Okay. We're totally out of time, Sanjay. If it's a very short one, because I think
short line. The point I wish to make is India needs an unalloyed, pure centrist party. The Congress here at this point of time should be seen as a centrist party. You can have both reforms and you can have welfare expenditure. And you don't have to be seen that you are either doing minority appeasement or you're following the BJP's soft Hindutva. But for that, you need leadership.
For For that, you need leadership, I think, is the crux really. Is the Congress stepping up to it, or will then someone else come and step in? Because as Pawan said, nature abhors a vacuum. And so do we, us in the TV studios. But that's it for now. Thank you for watching this show, and we'll see you again same time.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.